Hello, YouTube. So this will be my first video. I am Finders Keepers Textiles under Stuffy_Hunter at eBay, and I just want to give like an overview of my first actual not I quit my daytime job, but I've been selling clothes for the past 5 years on eBay and Poshmark. My first actual 60 days, as I quit my daytime job to do this. Well, magically kind of stumbled upon it, but full time as an income for my 60 days. So it began July 1st. And July I kind of just let go as a ramping up month to figure out what I shouldn't be buying or what I should be buying, and to give my store some inventory. So and a lot of the stuff that I purchased actually to sell to Plato's Closet to keep capital flowing in the business, as I was out making purchases basically daily. You can sit there and argue whether it's a good idea to go to the bins every single day or not, or specific days they have better things, but I'm a huge advocate of getting out there, getting your hands dirty. Even if you don't buy a lot or find a lot of really nice things, at least you're doing it, going through the motions. Because if you're not out there doing it, number one, you're not going to know what you miss, and number two, your hands start to pick up the feel of a quality item. I can't tell you how many pairs of leggings I went through before I could finally figure out, Lululemon. I've stood there with a pair of Lululemon leggings just trying to find the stupid symbol somewhere on the pants or the shirt, but I knew that it was a pair because my hands. So anyone who wears gloves, I mean, good for you. I started out kind of that dingy feeling in the Goodwill bins, or even at the Goodwill or Salvation Army, but as long as you're not touching like dirty underwear or something like that, don't use gloves. It's such a mistake. You're going to miss out on things. Linen is a really good selling material at the moment. I can pull out linen like nothing. I know when I have a piece of linen in my hands, and today I pulled an Eileen Fisher linen piece off the bottom because I could feel that it was linen. So don't use gloves if you really want to get into this role as a reseller on eBay or Poshmark, whichever website you use. Now, in my first 60 days, again, prior to this, you can look at my eBay store. We sold stuffed animals on eBay. I take everything seriously, so I was able to win licensed plush stuffed animals, hence the name Stuffy Hunter, for way less than $1, by abusing a couple machines at Dave & Buster's, and we were able to sell them for really nice profit for a long time. They take up a ton of space, but I mean, it is what it is. It was real kind of quick, easy money. Prior, as in my career, I was a financial advisor. I still am, I think, for a little while at least. I worked for a really not so great company, a very large, not so great company that left a very bad taste in my mouth. And after I left there, that was the first time I ever went against a plan that I had. So I just kind of didn't know what to do. I landed at the post office to learn blue collar work. And of course, I'm going to give 150% there. Well, they are glad to accept that. So I worked there for about 9 months, putting in probably 60 hours a week, 7 days a week. And it just, not that it ran me down, but it just got to be, that's not how I want to spend my life. I built this great career that kind of didn't go the way I wanted it to, based on the quality or less quality of my workplace, and I didn't want to spend kind of my rear end working at the post office 7 days a week, giving up my Christmas holiday basically to deliver packages. So when I left there, it was kind of like, okay, I got to figure out something to do. And I think we sold one piece of clothing that we had purchased like half price day at a Goodwill. and it sold for like 20 bucks and 18 years worth of finance and accounting. And I said, oh, I think I can swing this and make it work. So here we are, 60 days in, a little over 60 days, 68 days. Now, again, July was a wash, getting stuck. My goal for August was to do $100 a day in sales, and we actually ended a lot better than that, by not huge, but just under 4,000 for the month. Now that's 4,000 actual gross sales. That's not counting in cost, which cost, I've never paid more than $10 for any of the items in my store. And really, the only thing I paid $10 for was a pair of Nikes, which I flipped for, I think, $150 the following day. Other than that, most of the clothes, I have my cost base at $1.25, just because I don't know how much it weighs in the bins, but it gives me a rough idea when I'm pricing my items, that I can just say $1.25, $1.25, $1.25. Now, some items weigh a lot more than that, but I'm averaging. It doesn't matter to me as long as I have some sort of cost base that I can go on, that I can use for taxes or whatever have you. So I just use that round number. And shipping is a pain in the butt. It's expensive. And if you're selling what I deem cheaper items, less than $25, shipping is going to erode your earnings, your actual net earnings, because you're still not factoring in eBay and PayPal fees. And God forbid, if you have something that you actually have to promote, you're going to lose 50% of your gross sales as you net out your fees, your promotion fees, your cost base, and your shipping. So we really had to change gears in the business to go from, okay, now I just need to sell 10 items a day at $20 each to hit this number, to, okay, like I need to have a good mix of $20 light items and items that are above $25 and they're on up. So one of the biggest things that I've tried to really focus on has been shoes. Your margins of profit for shoes tend to be a lot greater because I'm in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. So Lancaster, Reading, Harrisburg, maybe. That's my market. I'm not in New York City, California, Los Angeles, all the really great metropolitan areas where all these people that are just killing these numbers, they find Burberry and all this great stuff to sell. Like, I'm in an actual market, not this, fancy market where people are donating $3,000 suit jackets, So good for you. I'm happy for you. Maybe one day I'll travel and do some bulk buys or something like that. But for now, I feel like I'd rather make it work in a market like this, because it's going to make me a lot better than those people that actually have those really posh markets where people just give away their expensive clothing. Now, that said, I have found a couple nicer items, but nothing over $1,000, not even close. I mean, I found an older Burberry London, men's button-down shirt. I didn't even put it on eBay. That was my first cool find. And just the other day, I found a Burberry like polo, and yeah, they go for like $250 probably. I could sell it for $60, but it's something neat for me because I don't really find that stuff. I find a lot of, well, not a lot of, but occasionally like Eileen Fisher. I've been finding a lot of Adriana Goldschmied, those type of items. I'm trying to balance myself between vintage and current style women's. So, an expensive item for me might be like a vintage Champion or something like that I can sell for $35. Again, I'm not finding those items that retailed for thousands of dollars. I did find a pair of like older Versace jeans couture. Again, another cool find for me. Did not put them in my store. They're hanging in my closet. They just happen to be my size or pretty close. So they go into my personal collection, which is probably not a good thing, but it is what it is. So again, hitting 4,000 actual gross, I feel, was a great accomplishment. Now, my goal for this month was to average somewhere between 175 and above per day, as I'm trying to get closer to that 5 to 6,000 so that I know that I'm going to net over 4,000 a month. It's been a bit challenging. I'm going to chalk that up to, kids going back to school. The first day was amazing. Sold 250 that day, first day of September. But we've still been hitting our average of 100, which I feel is still a good thing. We'll have a couple days that will help us catapult that number up, but it does get a bit frustrating because you put in a lot of work, and it is exhausting. It's fun and it's rewarding building your own business. And I think what I'm here for is to really shed some light on all the kind of, I'm not saying people aren't better than me at this because I've only been doing it for a short period of time, but one of the videos I watched, I made $10,000 my first month selling as a full-time reseller. Well, great. I mean, that's because you've been doing it for 3 years prior. This is me coming out. I didn't know anything about fashion. I've worn suits my entire life. They were not Burberry, Hugo Boss. They were from Express. And yeah, I dressed really nice, and I had good taste in women's clothing, but it was all dressy, professional women's clothing, like White House Black Market. When I first got into this, I focused on White House Black Market, Abercrombie and Fitch, Lucky Brand, the brands that I knew, that I was more exposed to, having worn them myself. I did a lot of Nike, Under Armour, and then realized that those markets were so saturated that, yeah, you can put your piece on there, but there's probably 5 other ones on there somewhere. Then you have to run into promoting, and it just gets kind of, again, saturated. So you really have to have a good mix, I feel like, in your store. I even think that eBay, somewhere in its algorithm, will promote your store more so if you have a good mix of things. But again, back to August, our best day in August, again, hitting that close to that $4,000 gross sales number. Our best day in August, I think we did 400 and like 450 almost. That was a bunch of sales, and then flipping those nice Nike shoes that I found for $10 for like 150 that day. That was an awesome day. That's the type of days you want to have that motivate you. I can tell you that after those sold, I was right back out, exhausted as I was, but I was so excited that I had this huge day. There's so many people out there that are working 9 to 5 or, third shift jobs that they're just pulling in like 40,000 a year and they're working their butts off. There's so many tools that you have with the internet and YouTube that you can reach out to, and ask questions to people. There have been several people that I've connected with on, Instagram and YouTube, just to ask a question or to drop my opinion out there. And I didn't want to actually create a video until I felt I had some worth for the community. And now that I finally feel like I have a good grasp on how the fashion itself works, I feel like I have something to contribute. So, any questions that you might have for me, please just leave a comment. I would like to get this YouTube channel ramped up. I feel like all the social media is intertwined in some way. The more followers you have, the more views you have, the more likely those people are, going to go to your eBay store, going to go to your Poshmark store, add you on Instagram, and then you become what's called a brand. One channel in particular, they do a very good job. I believe they were just mentioned in, a big money magazine, and that's great for them. One thing you don't want to run into, though, is watching that video and taking all their advice, because they are a brand. There's people that follow their channel that probably buy some of the things that you may have in your store, but they're buying it from them because they're a brand. That was one mistake that I made. I wrote down all the clothing brands that everyone was buying, and I went hunting for them. One example, Free People. I've had the hardest time selling Free People because it's so oversaturated. There's so much on eBay. You have to have a very individual piece that's in high demand, and it's old fashioned, new fashion. So, Free People, yeah, I might pick it up if it's something like I've never seen before, but otherwise it goes back because there's just too much of it on there. But I can tell you that was one of the key brands that I had no clue about Anthropologie when I started this, but I can tell you I memorized just about all the ones, and even if I didn't know it, I knew the style of it. I could pick out an Anthropologie piece and say, oh, this is probably Anthropologie, look it up with the RN, and boom, there it is. But it's so saturated. But again, that's that particular couple, they can sell them. They have their own brand through their channel, and their viewers click on it. They see that on TV and they want to buy it, or on the computer and they want to buy it. So just be careful doing what others do. You cannot replicate a sale because it's already done. You know, that piece that they picked up, that you may have picked up, a person that wanted it already bought that, and now yours is just kind of adding to the mix. So be careful with that. Find yourself a place to sell to. You know, one of the biggest struggles that I could see going into this was liquidity. You know, I have so many stuffed animals, it's ridiculous. But, you know, I was working a full-time job then, and it was more of a challenge slash hobby, something that my wife could sell on eBay and take care of. And it just turned into this mess, like, because I just couldn't stop. I was winning them so cheaply. I said, I don't want to let a good thing go while it's here. We ended up donating so much to I still have a picture of the thrift store that we donated to. We filled up like 5 bins of just our stuffed animals. It was ridiculous, and I still have so many. So liquidity. It's cheap at the bins, but it's not, because you're going to take stuff home and you're going to look at it, because the lighting is so fantastic in the Goodwills. It's just unbelievable. I feel like I'm wearing beer goggles every time I'm at the bins. I will look something over, and as soon as I get it home and actually turn on the light, I'm like, how the hell did I miss the yellow stain across the entire back of the shirt, or something, this hole, you know, when you're getting ready to list, you've steamed it, because everything is just so pressed and not wrinkled there. There's going to be holes. So you're going to be giving stuff right back to them for them to throw into the bins. Just hopefully you don't pick it up again. Find a place to resell to, so you can kind of keep capital flowing through your business. At some point, your sales on eBay are going to catch up, but in the very beginning, it was so nice to be able to go to the bins, find a bunch of like Nike, like Under Armour, you know, those type of brands to sell that sportswear to Plato's Closet. Yeah, you're only getting $4 per item or something like that. But you know what? You've only paid 50 cents for it. You're making money, and you're putting capital back into your business. And mix auctions and buy it now. You have to. You have to figure out a way to have daily sales, because some items that you just swear are going to sell now. It's such an awesome item. It's so beautiful. I can remember buying this Banana Republic trench coat. Maybe I'll go through in a different video some of the stuff that I've bought that I'm just scratching my head thinking, like, I've had this for like 2 months. Yeah, I bought it in summer. Yeah, I started this whole thing in probably the worst time of the year, summer slowdown, but that's made me stronger, you know, as a reseller, as a sourcer. But how is that thing still sitting here? You know, some things we've had have had like 18 watchers on it. What are you people watching? I don't understand. It's not going to change into something else, you know. But, you know, people do that just because they want a good offer on it. They want to feel you out to see how much you'll take it down. Some stuff, again, you just swear like it's going to be just a home run, and it might be, but then it just sits and sits and sits, and it's frustrating because you have this great item. You know, you got to be patient. I can't tell you how many items that I feel like I've sold way too cheaply because I'm not patient. I just want to sell. I want to hit my number for the day. Or how many times I've turned down an offer that I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to take it, and then sold the item for less than that offer. I mean, my thing is somewhere between 20% and less. I'm willing to negotiate. You know, people send 50%, you know, half of what it's listed at. I'm at the point now where I decline it. eBay is not a yard sale. Shipping is expensive. People don't get it. They buy these cell phone cases from China. China just exports them in one shipping crate, and that's how the shipping is so cheap. That's not how it really works in real life. Shipping can go from $3 all the way up to like $20 on items. So people try and yard sale the hell out of you on eBay. It's sad, but that's the way it works. So mix in auctions and buy it now. You have to. Even eBay gives you like free auction listings if you have a eBay business account. There's a reason for that. You want to mix in that cash flow. Yeah, you don't have to put your $50 item on there. What I was trying to do was put like lots of maybe 3 Victoria's Secret bras or 5 ties, because those are common items that I find at the bins that I can gauge the quality of them and kind of give them a value. I don't want to sell them individually because I'm not going to make enough to combat the shipping costs, because 99% of my listings are all free shipping, because a long time ago I learned that eBay gives you preferred listing if you have free shipping and blah blah blah. Maybe that's not the case. Comment below if that's not the case so I can freaking change it, because it's so annoying. So otherwise, those are some key points that I've learned. Aside from you're gonna buy stuff for yourself, it's gonna happen. I have a thing with hats and sports jerseys. Go Eagles. It's going to happen. Just try not to shop for other people, because you don't realize those costs. You lump them all in, but it adds up. I have so many sports jerseys, so many hats now, so much Jordan stuff. I have a tub full of vintage stuff that I cannot part with, because it's like older Nike stuff, older Tommy Hilfiger, definitely older Polo, anything Ralph Lauren is so difficult for me to part with, because those were my brands when I was growing up, that I always wanted, or I had growing up as a young adult, as a kid. So you have to be able to part with things, or you're really going to miss out on the opportunity to sell it. So please follow the channel. I'm a wealth of information, if anything. I may not be as entertaining as some other people. I will learn to do that. In my career, I've always been more of an advisor. I try to be well educated around what I'm discussing, and I didn't feel like I had enough to offer until I was able to actually see what I was capable of doing. And again, these are real numbers. I'll see if I can post a picture of our final sales figure for the 31 days in August. And if you have questions or don't believe me, go through my eBay store. Look at the history. Stuffy, STUFFIE _ Hunter, HUNTER. And prior to July of this year, it's going to be a consortium of stuffed animals, maybe some Magic the Gathering cards. We went through a little phase where I was able to find value in them. But again, it's all about making a profit and building a business for yourself, because again, doing the 8 to 5 grind for $40,000 a year, it's not worth it for anybody. Everything is going up in price, whether you choose to see it or not. Write down the cost of a gallon of milk, or a carton of eggs, or anything, bread even. I just found out that bread's like $4 now. Write these things down and check it again in 6 months. Those things aren't discussed in the global markets, in the inflation reports. It's always things that can be controlled by the greater masses, like gasoline. Cell phone costs are now part of the inflation index. It's stupid things like that, not the actual things that we need, like milk, bread, for all the French toast we're gonna make. So leave a comment, like the video, dislike the video. My first one, I'm always welcome to criticism, critiquing, any help that you have to offer. But please subscribe. I'd love to get the channel up and running. And as always, thanks for watching.